the show. You're watching Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy out of Horseheads and Mansfield. I'm your host, Jenna Cottrell. Now, spring sports are finally here. We're talking baseball, we're talking softball, and we're talking lacrosse. That spring weather somewhat arriving, but we figured we'd start out this sports talk with a team that finished very hot in 2014 and looking to bring their success into the new season. We're talking the Edison softball team. Now, Edison had a phenomenal year in 2014. They ended up winning the Class C softball championship in New York State. So we're going to talk to head coach Becky Cooper, who's in her 8th year at the helm of this program. We're going to talk to her and see how they're looking to bring yet again that success into the new year. We're also going to talk to their ace, junior Mackenzie Slavin. And if that name sounds familiar, yeah, there's a reason. Mackenzie had an outstanding year last year, and she capped it off with a state championship. We'll also see if WENY Sports can step up to the plate. We're going to see if we can hang with the big guns. And then finally, we're also going to do a recap of one MLB star in his time in the Twin Tiers. Like I mentioned earlier, Becky Cooper in the house. Coach, you've been at the helm of this squad for 8 years now. Obviously, last year, winning a Class C state championship, huge deal. Thank you for having us on your home turf.
Welcome.
I know it was such a great season. You know, that team, that moment, that whole season, how do you describe that?
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Those girls from last year had played together for so long. Since 8th grade, I had the seniors, and they just meshed so well. It's just unbelievable.
It was such a great start to the season. And you know, last year, that was a huge part. That team had been together for so long. See, there are some fresh faces out there this year, but how are you looking to bring that momentum from last year's championship into the new year?
Well, we just started from day one to push like the team together that we always have talked about since last year. We have a lot of team bonding that we do. We had a dinner date, or a lunch date I should say, that the new girls had to go with a returning player, and they had to go to lunch somewhere, hang out, do something together, just to talk about their nerves, their fears, their, you know, all of that stuff, how to basically translate Coach Cooper and what she is expecting and things like that. So it really worked out for us.
That chemistry off the field really contributing on the field. Do you think that the players have really begun to mix well together?
Yes, they have. They know each other since we're a small school anyways, but knowing them in this format is one thing, and the lunch really brought it together. I tried to put girls together, didn't know each other as well, so that really has helped us.
I mean, huge to have that chemistry like we're talking about. And you've had some time now to digest this roster. There are new faces out there, but so far, what has stood out to you the most about this group, and where do you really see their potential?
What stood out the most so far is the leadership from Mackenzie Slavin. She really has took on that role that Kate had with us, you know, leading us. And the juniors from last year, Kirsten Roselle, she's stepped up a lot, you know, leading the team in that positive, motivational speaking. And the new ones are hungry. And that's what I like watching. They want to do this.
That's always amazing to hear. And that's such a crucial part of any team. Yeah. You know, like you said earlier, it's sometimes translating, getting a new coach and really falling under those systems. How would you describe your coaching style?
That's a good one. There's a lot of kids. There's a lot of people who would say intimidating, and I just say that I have an expectation and I portray exactly what I want it to look like. I'm funny, I'm their friend, but I have specific expectations, and they all work together. The old ones are letting them know, like, you know, hey, this isn't the time to joke around, like she's being serious, you know, things like that. But I'm not fancy with what I do. It's simple. Simple wins a ball game is what I say to them all the time.
Absolutely. Clearly your coaching tactics have definitely shown that they do work. That's what we have for Coach right now. And actually, they have a new challenge coming up for them. Hear from that after the break. You're watching Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy. Stick around. Welcome back to Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy out of Mansfield and Horseheads. We're still with head coach Becky Cooper out of the Edison Spartan softball team. Now, Coach, we were talking earlier about the new challenges ahead, obviously a new roster, and then also you guys now playing in Class B. You guys won the state championship in C.
Yes.
Just talk about that new competition ahead of you guys.
That's actually one of the things I'm looking forward to. The excitement of that is we don't know anybody there, and nobody really knows us. I mean, they only know us stats on a paper. You know, they know that we won the sectionals in the states, but I haven't played anybody in Bs other than Waverly. So that's going to be exciting for me to go and show those, the bigger schools with the smaller schools we were doing when we were C's and things like that. So it's excitement for me.
A lot of teams, they would be unsure of moving on to that opportunity because obviously, like you said, you don't really have a lot of stats or a lot of information on a team. How do you think this particular squad and this roster will really come into its own playing all new opponents?
I think that's really what this team, all they have to do is just to come into their own. They're not worried about it at all. They're not thinking about, oh, now we're in Bs or anything like that. They're just thinking, one day at a time, 200 feet, we only look 200 feet ahead. That was one of our slogans that we still use. And that's what they're thinking. They're just like, okay, tomorrow we're playing a game, and then Friday we play a game. They're not even nervous about it.
Okay, very confident. That's a good way to go into it, though. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You had some serious talent last year on the squad. Caitlin Warren, she won the Class C Player of the Year. Yes. Multiple seniors, multiple starters leave. It's tough to fill those gaps, but who are some of the names that you don't think we know of right now that we should really look out for and really are going to step up this season?
Yes. I brought up 2 ninth graders, Haley Maggs and Haley Burdick. They both can catch, and Haley Maggs is going to be most likely filling the role of Zoe Durr at second base primarily, and Haley Burdick will be behind the plate. And I brought up a 10th grader from JVs. Her name is Laura Tryon. She's going to be filling the shoes of Danny Collier at first base. And just a little bit of movement from girls from outfield to infield, that's a big change for them too. But I think that they're going to shine doing that too.
Absolutely. I know it's always great to have, new and up-and-coming talent. But then there's obviously also your ace on the mound, Mackenzie Slavin. She's now a junior. She had a phenomenal season last year. Just talk about the growth that you've seen through her time as a Spartan on varsity.
Yes. The most growth, the biggest growth that I've seen in her is actually her as an individual, not on the field, off the field. She's just growing into just a wonderful young lady, in our community and doing things, her all of that stuff. She's developing better pitches, she's getting more strength, all that stuff on the field, but we look at things off the field too. And that's, I think, helping her. She's just becoming, a great person in society. So it's going to show on the field as well.
Such a phenomenal talent, and this group has really been coming into their own. What are you most excited for about this new roster?
Like I said before, I'm excited to see the young ones get what they're hungry for. They only hear the stories. They only know the stories, and the returners constantly share stories from last year and even years prior with that same group of girls. And that's the excitement I'm looking for, is them. It's going to click. The light bulb's going to go off, and they're going to be like, aha, that aha moment. So that's what I'm excited to see, is them click. Like when it clicks, everyone's going to know it. They're going to be like, that's the team that we're looking for.
Yeah, it has come from that on-field experience and playing together. And I know last year your team slogan was Team Together.
Yes.
And this year you guys also decided to go along with that trend and keep the same slogan. What does that mean to this program?
To this program, it means that we are together in what we do, on and off the field. We work together. We're not going to leave a player behind, anything like that. It just means that what we do is for each other, not just for ourselves. And this group, we kept with Team Together, but we kind of added a little bit to it, like coming together is a beginning, learning together is success, things like that. So that's what they need to do. We've come together as a team. They need to learn now to be successful together.
Tell that, walking into the gym where you guys are practicing, or even on the field, there's constant chatter, there's constant people talking, it's a great sight to see. And this group has a lot of potential. What are your expectations for this roster?
Expectations would be for this year to accept the leadership from the returning players, accept it. Sometimes great athletes have a hard time accepting that leadership. I'm looking for them to do that. I'm looking for them to believe in what we're doing. Like I said before, simple. We're simple. Like, we don't do the big fancy plays and, you know, big fancy things like that. I mean, just simple wins ball games. Don't try to outshine each other. We're all in it together. So that's what I'm looking for from, you know, for them to do.
Awesome. All right, well, Coach, thank you so much. We really appreciate talking to you.
You're welcome.
Make sure to stick around for Sports Talk. We're coming up. We're going to be talking to the ace, Mackenzie Slavin. Stay right there. It's Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy. Welcome back to Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy out of Horseheads and Mansfield. And I'm here with the ace, junior Mackenzie Slavin. Mackenzie, thank you for being on the show.
No problem.
Obviously, I know a lot of talent comes through this softball team and the softball program. So WENY Sports want to see if we could hang with the big guys. We stepped up to the plate. Needless to say, it was pretty interesting. Take a look. All right, thankfully, I have plenty of orange from going to Syracuse. It's not exactly an Edison shirt, but we'll make it work. I'm about to flick the ball and work on my infielding skills. As a soccer player, I'm not really used to using my hands, but we shall see how this goes.
1, 2, 3, got him!
I feel like I'm fitting in one. Wasn't expecting that. What is your best advice? I'm a little nervous, Christina.
Keep your glove down
Your glove down. Okay.
and get your feet set.
Okay, my feet set. Okay.
And then you're going to flick the second.
Okay, so when do I go to third?
And then you flick to first and you move.
The field, every field is in a lot of rough shape just because of that was terrifying. Woo! All right, we're splitting between center and left. What bat? How's it look?
I think with your batting, you could really improve on your stance and your swing and your hand placement.
Off the fence. Inside the park.
And you want to angle it.
So like that?
No.
Like that?
Like this.
Okay. So the exact opposite of what I was
What
doing.
you just did, the opposite of.
Good.
Team together, inspired pride on two. Ready, 1, 2. Team together, inspired pride.
Got him. Come on.
Oh, you guys are fun. Obviously, it was a great time. I don't know if I'll do it again, but Mackenzie, how do you think I did?
It was good for a first timer.
Thank you. I appreciate the support. You're now an upperclassman. You're in your junior year. Do you remember your first tryout for the Spartans?
My first tryouts were in 8th grade. They were really nerve-wracking because, like, you see the big seniors and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be in high school next year and they're so good. I want to be like them when I get older. Do they think I'm good? Do they think I'm bad? I have to improve myself for them. Like, you think that you have to step up to their level. Like, you want to make yourself be better so that you can be in their position and see yourself in the future taking one of their spots on the team with their uniforms once they're gone.
You've definitely thrived in that spotlight as well. I mean, first of all, the fact that you, in your sophomore year, have won a Class C championship, state championship. You know, what does it feel like to be a champion?
It's like a feeling that it's like, did that really happen? Like, you have to like go back in time, and it's like something that you won't forget because like it'll always be there. Like, you always have the medal, you always have the memories, the pictures of your friends. Like, it's a good thing to go through with like the team and everything because like it just brought us so much closer together, even though we were already so close to begin with. Like, it was a good bonding moment and a memory to share together.
To get through those games and to get all the way there, you have to be extremely mentally tough.
Yeah.
You know, what was your thought process when you were out on the mound, 1 out away?
I usually block everything out on the mound, so I never hear the coach. Like, if Cooper was to say something to me, I wouldn't hear it. I try to block out my family, actually. And then on that last one, the pitch that Kate called, like, it was that pitch, like, I was working on it all, and it was so on point in the last game, and I was like, all right, I'm going to throw it to her because I threw it to the batter the time before, and I hit my spot, and it did. She pulled it, and that was a good throw by our shortstop, Michelle, too, to end the game.
The fact that, you've been on this team for a while, you've been on the varsity level. How do you think you have seen your game grow over the past couple of years?
I've been working really hard on the off season. Getting help with my pitching, getting help with my batting has improved a lot. And I've picked up a lot of speed and new pitches, different movement that I'm not, never thought, I would see myself where I was. I wouldn't see myself throwing what I was right now.
What's your favorite pitch?
My favorite pitch is probably my rise ball.
Yeah. Why do you think it's been so good to you, or, are you just naturally
Well, I have an elbow issue where my elbow naturally turns out, so my wrist naturally goes the way to throw a rise ball, which adds more spin, so it gets the real 6-12 movement.
Your pitching is very, very good. Just talk about the fact that obviously, batting is a part of that. How have you looking to improve your game over this next year?
Over the next year, I'm obviously not going to swing for the fences because I've got a good team behind me. I don't have to worry about out throwing myself. I don't have to worry about hitting and doing everything by myself. Hopefully, I'm hoping to have girls on base before me so I can push them over or get that run in to start off the game.
Absolutely. All right, well, we'll have more from Mackenzie coming up. You're watching Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy. Keep it right here. And welcome back to Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy out of Horseheads and Mansfield. We're back with ace Mackenzie Slavin. This team this year, you're now an upperclassman. There's obviously that adjustment of having all new girls coming in. Caitlin Warren, your catcher from last year, obviously a huge part of your game as well. How are you making that transition without Warren in the lineup?
Well, we're all working really hard. Haley, the catcher right now, she's stepped up a ton. She knows, she's always in the back of her mind, I'm compared to Caitlin, I want to be Caitlin. She's stepped up a lot since the beginning of the season, learning my pitches, where and what, when I'm on, when I'm off, what to throw, what not to throw. And the coaches definitely help her call, too, just so she's in the groove and knows for sure.
This group really has to do a lot of rebuilding, and there's a transition with the entire team. How do you think that whole process of really coming together as a group has been going?
I think that we all got along and came together a lot better than we expected to. We've had team bonding. We all have inside jokes with each other and handshakes and stuff. It's almost it's the same group as last year, just a different group of girls with a different sort of bond.
That's always good. I mean, it's a lot of times you are on a team and you become friends, and those are those lifelong relationships that are so nice to have.
Yeah.
You started playing when you were so young. Did you always know you wanted to be a pitcher?
Well, I wanted to start pitching when I was 8 on my first travel team, and I was told that I couldn't be one.
Why?
They said that I wasn't strong enough and I didn't have the size to become a pitcher.
So what made you say, nope, you're wrong, I'm going to commit?
I went to my travel practices a half early every time, and I threw with my dad. And then the next year, I actually had a coach, because I wasn't on the team anymore, come and ask me if I would pitch for his team. Mm-hmm.
So you've definitely made your mark on the mound so far this year. This team, being an upperclassman, what are you most excited for to see coming up?
I'm excited to see the team next year, especially since there's so many young ones now and we're only going to be losing a few. I think it will be very similar to what we had last year, and not that this year it's just the season's just started and we don't all know what's to come, but I think it'll be a good season, and I can't wait to see the younger girls step up next year too.
You've been on the team for a little bit. What has this program meant to you?
The program has really brought me together. I feel as if the sports and the program itself has pushed me to be not only a better athlete, but academically, it helps me stay in my grades, because I know I do not want to flunk out. I got to be there for my teammates and that.
I know, talking with Coach earlier, she said that she's seen you grow so much as an individual off the field. Mm-hmm. And what does it mean to be a part of a group that is so well regarded, not only on the field, but also in the community as well?
It feels really good, because I'll have little girls come up to me from the school district, or we went over the break for spring break, we went to Southside and helped the little girls together, and my teacher, I babysit her daughter, and she just started softball, and then my little cousin in Pittsburgh called me the other day, and she's like, Kenzie, I'm going to play and be just like you.
Oh, that's adorable. There you go. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. We really appreciate you having on the show. Obviously, best of luck to you and your teammates.
Thanks.
And make sure to stick around. Sports Talk is not done. We have a quick update on one MLB player and his trip to the Twin Tiers. Stick around. Sports Talk will be back. Welcome back to Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy out of Horseheads and Mansfield. And finally in tonight's show, he's a 4-time MLB All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, and the youngest Cy Young Award winner. We're talking Dwight Gooden, Dr. K, making a visit to the Twin Tiers. And if you missed it, don't worry, we got you covered.
That was pretty neat. Cy Young on a 24-4 and 85, 1.53 ERA. I just heard that through the grapevine not too long ago. That's shredding the pie, man. That's great stuff.
Fans packed the house as former Mets and Yankees standout pitcher Dwight Gooden, or Dr. K, kicked off the first ever Elmira Pioneers hot stove dinner at the Hilltop Inn. Gooden met with fans to talk about his time in Major League Baseball.
Just a lot of fun, a lot of good guys on the team, and a lot of us still stay in contact. And that's the beauty about when you're playing sports. You get to develop friendships that last a lifetime. But having an opportunity to play in New York in front of the greatest fans and win the World Series for both teams was definitely a special thing for me.
Gooden spoke about some of his favorite memories, including 1986, when he won his first World Series championship with the Mets.
It's just so special. I think what made that so special was in '84 we came very close. We finished second to the Cubs that year, and then 1985 we won, I think, 98 games and lost out to the Cardinals. So when we got to spring training '86, we only had one goal, and that wasn't like just reaching the World Series, that was winning the World Series. And David Johnson made that perfectly clear the first day of spring training. And the guys on the team we had probably could have been starters on other teams, but everybody put the Eagles aside and had one common goal, and that was to win the World Series. And it was a great run, and I remember playoffs against Houston and obviously the World Series games, especially Game 6, was unbelievable. But that year was destiny.
But one game in particular stands out.
A lot of Met fans like to hear when I say my favorite moment was probably pitching no-hitter with the Yankees, but I always have met a heart. Like you said, my dad taught me the game of baseball. My dad was my hero. Spent a lot of time together when I was a kid, watching the games, and he came to a lot of my games. And when I made some major leagues, after every start, before I talked to the media, I had to call my dad and we'll go over the game. And the no-hitter, he was very sick that day. He had been on Dallas for like 15 years. I had permission to go home to be with him, but I thought he would want me to pitch. Turned out I pitched a no-hitter, and unfortunately he never made it home from the hospital. He passed away, but the last game he saw me pitch was that no-hitter, so I was like his going-home gift, and that made it that much special.
All right, and what a fun night. We just wanted to give a quick thank you to the Elmira Pioneers as well as the Edison Spartans. We wish them the best of luck this season. You've been watching Sports Talk, sponsored by Elite Therapy. Till the next time, see you, Twin Tiers.